for my wrongs, I have just begun. Ain't no mercy, ain't no mercy. Got that purple Lamborghini lurking. Ain't no mercy, ain't no mercy. Got that purple Lamborghini lurking. Rose.
Alright, Overwatch sluts. Recently, Symmetra got an update, and we're going to do a guide on how to play Symmetra Post update. And this guide will basically have some solid advice for anybody who's a beginner to an advanced player. Now, if you're here looking for pro advice, you need to get the fuck out of here, because I don't know nothing about that. Alright, so let's go ahead and take a look at the basics. Symmetra's got 200 health, just like any other squishy-ass character. Now, 100 of those points are actually in shields. The other 100 points are into her health. Now, what that means is if you only take 100 or less damage, and you get the hell out the way and you don't take any more damage for a second or two, your shields will start to regenerate and you've technically lost nothing. If you take more than 100 health, you need to find some damn health packs or a healer to help your ass out. Let's discuss Symmetra's abilities. The first one we'll talk about is the Sentry Turret. It's got a range of 10 meters. You can also get 6 of these bad mofos right from the get-go, and you can place them anywhere on the map that you want to. Ideally, you want to put them in the path of the incoming enemy or some pinch points on the board that's going to make it difficult for them to push through. They've got a 10-second cooldown timer, whereas they used to have 12. Blizzard kind of felt like she was too slow in battle, and they were trying to figure out a way to speed her up without making her overpowered. For me, I think it's a pretty good damn balance. Now, each one of these lasers does 25 damage per second, and they stack. So if you have all 6 lasers hitting an enemy, you're doing 150 damage per second. I guarantee you're going to be public enemy number 1, because you're going to have some pissed off enemy team members that are going to be coming after your ass. So you're going to have to be very careful and watch yourself. Up next, we got the Photon Barrier. The Photon Barrier actually replaced Photon Shields, and the reason why they replaced the shields was because Blizzard kind of felt that the shields weren't effective in battle. And the Barrier is an oval shield that travels in a linear path, and it has 1,000 health. Now, it's not as big as Reinhardt's shield, but you can use it in one of 2 ways. The first way is defensive. You can actually use it from behind your allies, throw it forward, and that will provide them support so they can fire on the enemy. Or you can use it to actually advance on enemy team members. Now, it is very, very effective when used to advance on enemy team members. Typically, they will back up, which is the wrong thing to do, and you can run forward and attack them and start building your charge on your laser. Very effective, very useful. Alright, let's talk about Symmetra's main squeeze, her Bay, the Photon Projector. Now, a lot of people feel that Symmetra's main damage comes from her turrets. That is absolutely not true, and if you have a Symmetra that believes that, kick them the fuck out the party because they got no damn clue what the hell they're doing, and I'm sorry they put such a stain on her image. Alright, let's talk about the mechanics of the Photon Projector. It's got 100 ammunition, it does 7 rounds per second. It's got a 7 meter range, which it only had 5 before. Now, they've made it to where basically you can lock onto enemies sooner, and that's pretty damn awesome. Now, when you start utilizing her gun, it charges. And the beam starts off at level 1 at 30 damage per second. At level 2, it does 60 damage per second, and at level 3, it does 120 damage per second. A lot of people think that you actually need to hold the lock onto an enemy to keep a level 3 charge. You do not. You do have only 3 seconds, though, to find another enemy to keep your level 3 charge. You will murder the hell out of people with this gun when you get to level 3. The Photon Projector has an alt fire. That alt fire is a charge shot. Basically, you charge up an energy ball, and you fire it. The smallest charge will do 25 damage, the largest charge will do 125 damage. The interesting part about this charge shot is that it will go through enemy shields. Reinhardt's will hate you. 125 damage to a Reinhardt is pretty damn powerful. Now, there are times when you should use the charge shot versus the charge beam, and vice versa, and we'll discuss those later on. Alright, let's talk about Symmetra's ultimates. Now, she gets 2 ultimates, which is pretty damn badass. I think she's the only hero to have 2 ultimates. And those ultimates are a teleporter or a shield generator. Now, which one to use is up to you. I like to ask my team members which one they want, because that way, if something goes wrong, they can't blame my ass for that shit. That's on them. So let's talk about the teleporter. It can teleport up to 6 individuals to a specific destination wherever you put the port at. Now, here's the key to the teleport. And there's a lot of booty Symmetras out there that have no clue what the hell they're doing. So when they put the teleport down, they don't put it in a good direction. Now, what that means is when my team member comes through the port, they should be heading right to a specific area that I want them to go to. Like, for example, a control point or near where the payload's going to be at. So the way to make sure that that happens, all you need to do is put your back into the direction that you want your team members to be running. That's the key to it. Now, if you don't do that, you're an asshole. Straight up. Seconds matter, especially when coming through ports. So keep that in mind. The last ultimate that we'll talk about is the shield generator. The shield generator, what can I say about this sumbitch? This sumbitch is awesome! That's what I can say to this shit. It gives 75 shields to all your team members within a 50-meter radius. That's pretty damn large. I don't think you guys understand how big that is, but it is monstrous. Now, the reason why that's important, that's a lot less healing you need. That'll take a lot of the stress off your healers off you. It'll let you, as a team, engage longer in battles because you have more health, and it's just absolutely amazing. Blizzard did a great job incorporating this shield system in. Alright, now that we've discussed her abilities, now it's time to actually learn how to play as Symmetra. Now, this is actually pretty damn difficult, to be quite honest with you. There are two types of Symmetras, and you need to learn how to play them both. You can't be one, you can't be the other. If you do, you eat the booty like groceries, and you need to learn how to fucking play both. The first one's an attack Symmetra, and the other one's a defensive Symmetra. There are two totally different play styles. You need to know how to use them. So the first one we're going to talk about is the defensive Symmetra. Defensive Symmetra is, she's a pretty important role when it comes to boards that are like escort the payload and you're on defense, or control points, or a mixture of both. Now, she's actually pretty difficult in certain stages where the control points are in the middle of the board, but once you get control, she's actually pretty useful. Now, mainly people like to use her on boards like Eichenwald, where the majority of characters try to push through the bridge, and another board's Temple of Anubis. She's very strong on the room to the right when you're defending, that little tiny room that people try to push through at the first pinch point. So stages like that, that's where she's pretty critical at. All you have to do with her in those areas, put up your turrets, use your photon shields, and use your photon charge. Try to stay behind your teammates, and just keep firing and launching until you get your ultimate. The critical part is knowing when to use your shield and your teleporter. If I have a pretty good strong team that's not dying very much, I will utilize my shields. If I have a team that tends to die too often, I'll use my teleport, and hopefully they won't die again when they come running back up. She's pretty easy to use on these levels. It's not very difficult. As far as the team comp goes with these stages, typically it'll be like one tank, two at most, 2 DPS, her being one of the DPS, and your 2 supports. I know she's a support, I get that, but you're using her for her offensive and defensive capabilities, so it's critical that you recognize her as a DPS and not just a support, or that will absolutely hinder you. If you have a good healer or a good enough team that only needs one healer, then by all means fill the other role with a DPS and you'll be that much more powerful. Now, like I said, it's just very simple manner. Find the pinch points, utilize them with her, and hopefully you can keep the enemy team at bay. Alright, now we're going to talk about the attacking Symmetra. This is recently new, given the current buffs to her, and people literally shit a brick when you pick Symmetra on attack. You'll get hate mail, messages, get the fuck off Symmetra, what are you doing, we don't need Symmetra. Everybody thinks that they know what they're talking about, even though they ain't played with Symmetra since the update. They have no clue what's going on. Now, in the team composition, if you want a flanking class, Symmetra should be your flanker. I know what you're thinking. You are off your fucking rocker. Well, that may be true, but this shit works. I'm telling you. And the reason why it works, Symmetra is hard to detect when she's behind enemies. Enemies have a hard time hearing her. When she starts her photon, a lot of people don't recognize that she's in behind killing the healers. It's very critical to know that. If you have another flanker working with her, your Symmetra will fail. She has no defensive capabilities except for jumping. Jumping is her defense. That's why I call it bunny hopping. That's the only thing she has, and you're basically banking on the enemy not having accuracy. So the role that she fills is the flanker and the DPS. Now, what you want to do, you want to go behind enemy lines. You want to start with the healers. Now, the trick is if you have 2 healers in the back line, you got to be very picky about which one you choose. Because if you're going up against the Mercy Zenyatta combo, and you start attacking the Zenyatta first, and that Mercy starts healing him, you chose wrong, motherfucker. Because you will not win that battle. She can keep healing him fast enough, and he will be able to kill you if you're going up against a decent enough Zenyatta. So go behind the enemy lines. You want to take out the Mercy first, then take out the Zenyatta or the Lucio, and it's a pretty big problem. She's pretty damn stingy on dying. She does not seem to want to die. Once you take care of those healers, go ahead and start working on the DPS with low health, and then jumping on your tanks. A lot of people want to jump on the tanks first. That's a bad thing to do. Take out the support from behind. That's what a flanker does. They take out the enemy team supports, and you should do the same thing. Now, you can either A, utilize your turrets at the beginning of the stage, or B, put them around behind the enemy lines, so that way whenever they're running back to a control point, they'll start getting hit by lasers, and that will slow them down. That's how you play an attacking Symmetra. Use her as a flanker, creep up behind the enemy, and start taking them out one by one. By the time you take out the first or second one, you've got a full charge. You will start annihilating people, and you get a lot of play of the games that way. I actually tend to get a lot more play of the games with her than any other character. And people will hate you. They will hate life, and they will want to murder you, your family, and your baby kittens. Now that we've talked about her abilities and how to play as Symmetra, let's talk about when not to play Symmetra. This guide is not intended to be an excuse for any jackwagon to just jump up and run and play Symmetra because Kenpachu's guide said you could use Symmetra. I didn't say that shit at all, and you weren't fucking listening. What I am telling you is, just like any hero, there are times that you can use her, and there's times that you shouldn't use her. This is just like any character, though. This is nothing new. It's nothing special. Every character has a time that you should use them, and every character has a time that you shouldn't use them. And knowing when to use and when not to use comes with experience. So again, learn when you need to switch off Symmetra, and don't be stubborn, and don't try to be like me, because I swear to God, I try to prove so many people wrong. Sometimes I'm a total asshole, and sometimes I deserve to get yelled at, and sometimes I deserve to get hate mail, and sometimes I deserve for my baby kittens to be killed. Nobody ever deserves that shit, but you get what I'm saying. Anyways, that's all I have for the guide. I appreciate you guys checking it out, and I'm going to try to do some more of these in the future. Give me a like, share me on Twitter, anywhere that you got on social media, and appreciate you guys watching. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Oh, and that fucking bell now is pretty important, I guess, too. Make sure you hit that shit. So, that's all I got, you guys. Have a great day.
It was right here when I hammered down. I knew it. I fucking knew it. Oh, that was fucking great. Yeah, that best was looking right at me. You're just like, okay, fine. I'm fully charged now, bitches.